Hey guys, my name's Michaela and you're watching FunsizedStyle. I'm not one to do very many storytime videos. In fact, I don't really know if I've ever done one, but this is one that I think I know is worth telling. There's a lot of emotion that goes on into the story. I felt that it was important to share what I experienced recently because I know that I'm not the only one that has experienced something like this in their lifetime, and it's not the only time I've experienced something like this. It's different because I went to the most extreme measures in this kind of situation, and it's interesting because in a way there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of emotion that goes into this story, and it's not a story. It's literally what happened, what I experienced. There's a lot of emotion and a lot to be learned from what I experienced. Unless you live with a physical disability, you don't understand what all it involves. At the end of it, I'll tell you this experience is absolutely hilarious. I look back at it now and it's one of the most unforgettable nights of my life. I will never forget this moment, and neither will the people involved in this. And this experience showcases a lot. It showcases advocacy, it showcases true friendship, and there's a lot to this and a lot that can be learned from this. And I wanted to put this out here to share with you guys. This is just a glimpse of what I experience, not daily, but almost daily, because this world is not built for people like me. It's built for people that don't have disabilities. The backstory of it, of what I'm trying to say, is really hard to articulate and say rather than just going into it, so I guess I'll just go ahead and get into this story time. I'm not one to sip the tea, but this is something I want to share because, like I said, there's so much emotion that goes into this. Laughter. It's hilarious, but at the beginning, it wasn't so funny. It was very frustrating, and it was a very eye-opening experience for those involved. And I want to give you guys, even though I don't have live footage of what happened, obviously, when you're in those kind of moments, you don't pull out your vlog camera. Excuse me, I'm going to film what is ensuing right now. That is just not a reality, but I'm going to do my best to share what happened that night and how it all played out. I'm going to give you guys a glimpse into what it takes for me to participate in society. There's nothing to the story that is added or exaggerated, and I think that that's what makes the story even more mind-blowing. So let's just go ahead and get into it. It's gonna be, I feel like it's gonna be a little bit long, so get ready. I volunteer at an organization, and I absolutely adore the people I work with. So when I knew that I was going to be attending college exclusively online, I still wanted to be involved in my community, and I still wanted to do things to get me out of my house so I don't become a hermit, because that can be very easy to do if you work and go to school from home. I decided I want to volunteer at an organization, something with meaning, obviously something that I care a lot about. I've bounced around at a few organizations, never really found like my fit for a variety of reasons. The other organizations that I volunteered at, it wasn't that I didn't care about the cause. I did, obviously, because that's why I chose to try to volunteer there in the first place, but there were just other factors that it just wasn't where God wanted me to be. So I wasn't there very long. But where I'm at now, I've been the longest, and I absolutely love it. I know that it's where God has called me to be during this time in my life as I go through college, and I don't know how long I'll be there. I want to move out on my own, and I want to actually move cities, so I don't know how much longer I'll be there. The time that I've been there, I absolutely love it. And I not only love what we do, but I love the people that I work with. They're the most awesome people, and they're just very encouraging, and they're very kind, and they're just wholesome people. And it's not very often that you work in a place where you're all like-minded. I feel like in a world full of division, it is so nice to be at a place where we all have the same or similar values, where we all have things that we agree on, and we all get along, at least from what I know. I'm not the executive director. I don't do a huge role. I'm a volunteer. But from what I observe, it seems like, for the most part, we all get along. It's really cool. They're just really awesome people, and I could go on and on about that. And I just want you to also know that this experience went to another level that showed truly how awesome and how much they appreciate me. My disability isn't a hot topic. I mean, I talk about it because I love educating and I love answering questions about it, and I'm very open about it. They don't see me as different. They see me as one of their own, and just like anyone else, and that's the way that it should be, but not a lot of people are like that. I truly, I call them my friends because they're really great people having my life. I'm also sorry about my acting. Oh, it's in a horrible spot, so I apologize. So I just want to say that because that is a huge key thing in this experience. I'm not making this video to trash anybody, and there is a business involved in this, obviously. So I'm not here to trash the business. I am going to give the name of where this happened so other people are aware if they have a disability or want to have a group gathering at this establishment, because I think that it's something that should be known. I mean, I'm not saying to boycott this business. It's a restaurant. I still really like their food. It's a really great restaurant. They are really nice people, but I want to say who it is because this was such a huge ordeal. It was a few days before Christmas. We were going to have our Christmas party, and it was at a restaurant quite far. It was, quite far from where this organization. I had been to this restaurant before, and I knew it was wheelchair accessible. I didn't think anything of it. They told me where it was, or the restaurant that the Christmas party was going to be at. I was like, oh, okay, I'll be there. I didn't even ask, oh, is it wheelchair accessible? Because I knew that it was. I'd eaten at this restaurant before. I was really looking forward to it. I'm very involved over there. I do a lot of extra things outside of, my daily schedule. I do just a lot of extra, I guess not activities, but, time and do other things within the organization other than the daily things. I'll do extra days, things like that. So I'm very involved. I try to go to everything that they have going on, and so I knew I wanted to go to this Christmas party. I didn't have anything going on that night, so I was there was a time period to RSVP. So I RSVP'd, saw where it was, didn't think anything of it. I was I'll be there. It's the night of the Christmas party. I get dressed. It's casual, not fancy. So I get dressed in a semi-nice outfit. We go. My dad takes me, but he drops me off because I'd been to this restaurant before. I knew it was accessible. So when I get there, there's two of my other coworkers that show up at the same time. And so they open the door for me. I go in the restaurant. There's quite a few of us. I think there's 50 of us. Maybe more, I have no idea. So we had a pretty large crowd. This restaurant is decent size. So the restaurant that the Christmas party was at was called Cheese Pizza. Nowhere near where I live. It was quite a drive, but my dad dropped me off. It was gonna be for a few hours, so I got out of the car and I was see ya, Dad, thanks for dropping me off, and he drove away. So I go into the restaurant. My two other coworkers showed up at the exact same time that I do. I'm not late, I'm right on time. In fact, I think I was 10 minutes early. I'm right on time, and I get there, I go into the restaurant, I see our group, and this is where it gets hilarious. We're at Cheese Pizza, and it's pretty packed in there, and then there's a separate area where the group sits. If you have a group party, or you can reserve it for large parties. In the middle of the restaurant. It's not a separate area with a closed door. Right in the middle of the restaurant. In a few seconds, I'm going to be inserting a photo. I did not take this photo. It was on their website. I obviously did not take photos in that moment. I was stunned, to say the least. So I'll just insert a picture that was on Google of the inside of this restaurant. I'll kind of point out key points to this in the image. I go into the restaurant and I see our group. I go to my right, and that's where the group is. It's in this large area. It goes down a little bit. You'll see from the photo. But it kind of goes down, and I see 3 steps. So then I'm oh, the group area, as you can see from the photo, it's in the middle of the restaurant. Like I said, it's not you don't go down in the basement of the restaurant. It's not like a whole separate floor. It's just like, it's a weird design. So I'm like looking around for like a possible ramp. It's getting pretty close to the time of like the start of the party, like when we're supposed to be eating. And they had like the bar set up with like food. It's getting pretty close to the time. And I'm like kind of looking around for the ramp like around the corner. And I see no ramp. I'm like, there's no ramp. Oh my gosh, I spent so many hours of my time, free time here, and I pour my heart into this place and these people, and I can't even participate in the Christmas party. And I also want to say that like, it's not like we could have everybody move to like the group area that was like eating in the restaurant and like have us eat at the main area, because it was packed. Like we wouldn't have all been able to be together. And so the two like main people in my like department, I guess, that I work with saw me come in. They look at me, they look at the set of stairs, they're also looking around for a ramp, and they realize, oh my gosh, there's 3 steps, there is no ramp, what are we going to do? People start gathering around, because more people start coming in, like the other coworkers start coming in, and people start gathering around, like wondering what's going on. The executive director sees me come in finally, because he sees like everyone kind of like gathering, trying to help figure this out, what's going to be done about this. My one coworker, they're like gathering around me, and she like looks like she's going to pass out because she feels so bad. And then the other one starts crying because she feels so bad. I almost started crying because it was just like, I'm used to not being able to participate in a lot. Volunteered over 100 hours already at this place. It's not even that I expect appreciation, it's that I'm a part of the team and I should be able to participate in everything they do. I was like, dang it. The executive director figures it out and is like starting to panic, and like they just feel so bad. So I let them figure it out. I did not offer suggestions at first because I wanted it to be a learning experience for them. I was frustrated, but I also knew that like they felt so bad. That is another key point, because some people invite us to things and then realize that like we can't come, and they don't like do anything about it, or don't invite us at all because they know that like it's not accessible and aren't willing to go to like certain measures to help. I said, okay, so what do we do? I asked them the question. I knew what it would take to get me down these 3 steps, and I'll tell you guys how it all played out. My 2 main coworkers and then the executive director like go to the manager of the restaurant. I believe I was told he was the manager. I hope I'm not mistaken. So they go to the manager and they're like, do you have a ramp? He was like, no, we don't have a ramp. On an average day to like go eat at this restaurant, like I could. It's very accessible to like get in. But again, I don't recommend that you boycott this restaurant. It's a very good restaurant. The food is really good. The people are nice, and you can get in to the restaurant. It's just the group gathering area. I asked my coworkers like what's gonna happen. I wanted to see how they would react, and I wanted to see how they would resolve this situation. So like time's ticking, like it's way past like when this party is supposed to start. I'm still not like down the stairs with everybody. I'll give you guys some like scenarios of like some of the solutions that they came up with. And the one was to carry the chair with me in it down the stairs, which is not an option. It's incredibly dangerous. They know about my disability and don't really know why that was suggested. I think they were just in the moment. And then the other suggestion was one of my coworkers offered to, so like as you'll see from the photo, it's like gated, but there's like tables on the main level next to it, like right next to it. She offered to sit with me at one of those tables, and I said no. I said no thank you. I really appreciate the offer, but I said I'm a part of the team just as much as you are, and I want to be with everybody. I want to be with all my coworkers. This is a group Christmas party. I want to be with everybody. They said absolutely, that's the way that it should be. Well, and that's what I said too. I said that's the way that it should be. And they said absolutely. So finally they were getting a little bit frustrated, I could tell, and they just finally said like, what do we do? What can we do to make this work? Is there anything that we can do to make this work? And I said yes, and I said it involves a lot. This group Christmas party was a +1 event, so it's mostly all ladies that work here. And it involves me getting out of my wheelchair and being carried down the steps while people carried my wheelchair down the stairs. I said that's the only feasible way that we could make this work. I said I can't be carried in the chair down the stairs. That was incredibly dangerous and I would get very hurt. I said, so that's the only way. They said, okay, like, let's make it work. The next step was to look for somebody that was willing in our group to carry me down the stairs. The idea of them carrying me down the stairs like frightened them because they didn't want to hurt me. And obviously I'm able to communicate and share like how to properly pick me up so that I don't fracture, and I give instructions. The problem was nobody was willing to do it. Finally, I remembered that one of the volunteers is a nurse, and so I asked her, I was like, hey, can you, and it was in our group, so it wasn't like I was asking somebody in the restaurant. It was one of my coworkers, and I was like, hey, can you carry me down the stairs? That's the only way that I can like come eat and be with you guys. And she was like, let's do it. And so I showed her how, and like, I also, so quick break here, I want to say that like in these situations, the businesses and like whoever is involved in this is very fortunate that I'm not even 50 pounds. I don't even weigh 50 pounds. And I'm not going to give my exact weight, but let's just say I don't even weigh 50 pounds, like not even. So they're very lucky because most adults with physical disabilities are average height, average weight, like well over 100 pounds. Nobody can just like scoop them up and like pick them up and like carry them down the stairs. Like it's not feasible. I just want to say that like all parties involved in this are very fortunate that I am small and that I am compact and can be easily transported in certain areas in these types of situations. A business that is also not wheelchair accessible in any manner, just know that like you're not going to come across people like me often that are not even close to 50 pounds, can be easily carried. Like most adults with physical disabilities are average height, average weight, well over 100 pounds. The people that involved in this are very lucky that I am so tiny. And so I just want to say that. It's like that plays a huge role in this, because whether somebody was willing to carry the wheelchair down the stairs or not, still wouldn't be feasible if I was 5 feet tall and over 100 pounds. All parties involved in this are very fortunate that I'm built the way that I am in these situations, because it does make it somewhat possible. It does make it feasible, even though it's not ideal. It's not a pleasant experience for me, and it's very difficult, and it's stressful, and it's scary, but it is possible. For most adults with physical disabilities, like this is not an option because they're not small, they're not short, they're average height, average weight. So I just want to make that point because I think that that's an important point to make. So my coworker, who's a nurse, when she's not working there, offered to carry me down the stairs, well, after I asked her. So it took 3 guys and the manager of the restaurant to carry my wheelchair down the stairs. People don't realize also that like how heavy these chairs are. And like my chair is small, but my chair is still 160 pounds. 160 pounds. That is like insanely heavy, and this thing is like dead weight. It's heavy. It's very well built, and I have a smaller chair. Most chairs weigh more. It's also something to keep in mind. Mind you, like I'm shaking at this point because like even though I'm like verbal and like can communicate how to transport me safely, like it's still frightening for someone when you have bones that are so fragile. It's frightening for someone that has never done this or doesn't have any experience in someone with osteogenesis imperfecta. Like the demographic that she does nursing in, she has no experience in osteogenesis imperfecta, no experience in caring for people with physical disabilities, anything like that. I knew she would like do okay because she's obviously like a nurse, so like I knew she had lots of medical background. Mind you, like I know it's 3 steps, but like someone that uses a wheelchair cannot go down steps. Don't even bother with comments that say like, oh, it's only 3 steps. It's not that big of a deal. It's a big deal. So we get ready to do this. I'm instructing her on how to carefully pick me up in a way that I won't fracture, and then I have someone stand behind her as she's carrying me down the stairs, watch her step. Then the 4 guys carry my chair while I'm out of it down these 3 stairs. The restaurant, the group area that we're all seating at, which you can see in the photo, is not in a closed off area. It's in the middle of the whole restaurant. And this restaurant is packed. Like everybody can see what is going on. As I'm being carried down the stairs, I don't know if it was in my head or like if it actually happened, and I don't know if anyone else realized this. Again, maybe it was just in my head, but I swear there was dead silence in this restaurant as like all of this was ensuing. And I don't get embarrassed very easily, but I could just feel my face like getting it so red hot. Like it was just wearing a nice skirt, so I'm like, I'm trying to like pull my skirt down like in the middle of the restaurant, like she's carrying me. So I get down the stairs and like I sit back down in the chair, and then like one of my wheels like got stuck on like the last step, and so they had to like tip it like a little bit forward, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. We get down the stairs, I get back in the chair, like they all start cheering, like yay, not the whole restaurant, just our group. The party was really fun, the food was really, really good. Everyone just kept apologizing and saying how amazing I was, and I think that it's important to recognize that like how good of an advocate I am for myself, and I know my limits and my boundaries, and in these types of situations, no matter if you're introverted or extroverted, you have to be an advocate for yourself. I may be small in size, but I'm an adult. I should not have to be carried down the stairs by one of my co-workers at a Christmas party, and it's nobody's fault. I knew that this restaurant was accessible to most degree. Like I said, that's the only portion of the restaurant that's not accessible that I know of. I've eaten at this restaurant before. Even for me, it was like, whoa. I think it's also important to point out like my coworkers were willing to go to whatever magnitude it took to allow me to participate. Not only is it the way that it should be, but it does show their level of love and compassion for me, because most people in my life aren't willing to go that extra mile. Most people that I've experienced aren't willing to do that. I don't get invited to a lot of events, hardly any really, because people know that like I can't get to certain places, and when I do get invited to something, it does take a little bit of pre-planning and making sure that the place is accessible, but sometimes it involves an additional step that you didn't even know about, literally. In this case, it speaks volumes of these people and how amazing they are. And once I got down the stairs, I was not upset at them at all. I was so grateful because even though it was a lot, even though it was scary in the moment, even though it was really, really embarrassing to have the restaurant watching this all ensue while everyone's eating their meals, even though it's not the way that it should be, the world wasn't built for people like me. And that's the reality of it. It doesn't take much to make something wheelchair accessible. You just have to have somebody that cares. And I think it's also important to realize, like I was telling my two main coworkers, like the differences between this situation and most situations I've been in is that you're willing to go the extra mile and you actually care. Like you're in tears, like you actually care. And I know you care. It doesn't matter to you whether this was a lot. It didn't matter to you whether this involved a lot or the party was a little bit delayed because all had to take place. And I also told them, like, unless you live with a physical disability, which they don't, unless you live with a physical disability every day, you don't think about it. And it's easy to not think about it because it's not your daily life. It's not something that you need to think about. And I don't blame you. Like, business owners should know the laws. Like, we're in 2020. People with disabilities are living people that are active members of our society and communities. Like, it should be no secret now that, like, you should have your place accessible. And I said, unless it's your daily life, you don't understand. But this was used as a learning experience for you guys, and I know that, and you've told me that, and I'm grateful that this has opened your eyes, and they told me, like, it's given me a glimpse of just some of the things that you deal with every single day. They're like, you're so amazing, and we just thank you for your grace and compassion toward us. And I give them that grace and compassion because they care. And they care about me, and they care about these kinds of situations moving forward. They care, they learned, and it taught them a lot, and it gave them a glimpse into my daily life. A little bit of compassion and willing to go the extra step, literally, for someone can mean a lot, and it really shows the amount of, it really shows true friendship. It was probably embarrassing for them, too, to watch this all go down. It was a big scene. People were watching, and it's not normal to have this happen in a restaurant. What's also not normal is a lot of people don't view disability access as important. It was the only way that I could participate and I deserve to participate. And I know this is kind of long, but I just really want to talk about these things as a learning experience for anybody, for those that work at Cheese Pizza, for those that may eat there in the future that have physical disability. And I also want to point out that I did not want to call my dad because to have him help me carry me down the stairs for 2 reasons. One, he can be a bit unsteady down the stairs, so that's not really safe. 2, because I'm eventually going to be not living with my parents anymore. Like, I don't plan on being here too many more years. Like, I'm not going to be like in this house for much longer. There's just a few things that I'm working out right now, health-wise, that I know you guys are keeping track with me on and supporting me through. And other than that, like, I don't plan on being here much longer. I strive for independence just as much as anyone else. There's going to be a point where I'm gonna go out with friends or coworkers or whoever, and my parents are going to be there. They're not going to be a call away. I'm gonna be moving hours away from home. Like, it's not gonna be that easy, and I didn't want it to be that easy for them because I wanted this to be a learning experience for them. To have my dad just like drive back, or like, cause he was only probably like 5 minutes away at that point. It wasn't very long that this all happened. Then he dropped me off. So even if he would have drove like 20 minutes back or 15 minutes back, like just calling him and saying like, oh yeah, let me just like call my dad, like, and he'll help us, like, it gives the easy way out. It gives the easy way out for my coworkers. And I don't think it would have been as eye-opening of an experience. An adult, I shouldn't have to have my dad carry me down the stairs at my place of work. Also, like, he's my dad, and like, I'm an adult, and like, this is where I work. My dad doesn't work there, like, my family doesn't work there, I work there. This is my place of like independence, like, I work here, like, nobody's with me, like, my parents shouldn't have to come to my work party, like, help me, you know? I wanted it to be giving them the full glimpse of what this takes, and there's going to be a point and a time where I'm gonna come across something like this again, and my friends or whoever I'm with will be faced with something like this. My parents aren't gonna be a call away, and they're not gonna be able to come to my rescue. Whoever I'm with, wherever I'm at, I need to handle these situations with the people that I'm with. That's why I didn't do that. I'm down the stairs. We have a nice meal. It's great. When I got down the stairs, I just laughed because I knew I was down the stairs. Like, I knew I could get back up the stairs. Obviously, in the moment, it was not funny. It was stressful. It was scary. But once it was done, it was just like those things where if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And it was just hilarious. And they loved that I was able to laugh about it. And it really is. You have to laugh about it because it was nobody's intent. It just is. It's just one of those things that is. But they made it work. And so that's why I was able to smile about it. And that's why I was able to laugh about it. We had a great time. It was great just hanging out with everybody, being outside of the workplace, and just being with everybody. I love literally everybody I work with. So it's just great company. A couple hours later, the party ends and people start to leave, and you know, like, I'm getting ready to leave. And so I look for my coworker that helped carry me down the stairs, and she left. She forgot that I had to get back up the stairs. And this is where this gets even more hilarious. So get ready. So she leaves. People start leaving as the end time gets closer and we get done with all the festivities. You know, just like a party naturally ends. Like, people just start leaving when the end time is over and when it comes to a close. And like, I'm still there, and like, my dad was coming at like the time that it ended, which was at 8 o'clock. And I get a text from him, like, as I'm getting ready to go back up the stairs before I realize she left. And he says, I'm here. And I'm like, oh shoot. And mind you, like, my parents don't know any of this is happening. I didn't text them and tell them, like, all this was happening. Oh my god, so I had one of my main coworker that I was like going outside and just be like, it'll just be a minute. He had no idea what was happening. I didn't want her to like have to relay all that. I was just gonna tell him how it all went down because it was hilarious. None of the other coworkers that were left at this party would do it. Like, they would not carry me up the stairs. They were terrified. I was like, what do I do? And again, I was not gonna call my dad and tell him to come in the restaurant because it's gonna be a time where I'm not going to be with my parents anymore. I'm gonna be on my own. Getting a little bit frustrated because none of them would do it that were left. And so finally I see one of my coworkers just start roaming the restaurant. And I'm like, what is she doing? 5 minutes later, I kid you not, I look to my right. This is an example of how God always provides. So I look to my right, 2 nurses that were dining at this restaurant that at G's Pizza that had just gotten out of work. They had like their gloves on, like the stethoscope, whole 9 yards, like nurses from the hospital. She was like, I found some people to help. And I literally looked to my right, like, I love you. Like, I literally said, like, I love you. She started laughing and she was like, oh, you're so sweet. And my coworker was like, oh my gosh, do you know her? And I was like, no, but she's gonna help carry me up the stairs. There was 2 nurses, a girl and a guy, and then some other lady. It might have been like the supervisor. I don't know who the other lady was. Like, I'm here to help. So the lady, the girl nurse, I instruct her how to carry me up the stairs. And again, thankfully the 4 guys were still there. So the 4 guys, and I'm back up and I'm free and I'm safely in my wheelchair. And that is a prime example of how God always provides. Like, the odds of them like eating at the restaurant and like was like so crazy. It was just an example of another example in my life. Like, I've had so many examples where God always provides every single time. It doesn't matter what it is. And I can only imagine what they were thinking in their mind when a stranger came up to them and asked to carry a 21-year-old who's 2 feet 7 inches tall and under 50 pounds up some stairs at a restaurant. Like, I can only imagine what was going through her mind. And to just do that for a stranger speaks volumes of her too. And so I don't think she'll ever see this video, but if she does, I don't even remember her name, and I apologize. As you can imagine, I was like, my mind was full that night. I am forever grateful to her because I don't know what I would have done because nobody was willing to do it at that point. And so one of my coworkers, like I said, just started searching the restaurant, and I can only imagine who she asked and like what their responses were. Like, I thought that part of it was really, really, really cool. And again, it made me laugh. Like, how awesome is that? Like, nurses, like hospital nurses. It didn't have to be a nurse to like carry me up and down the stairs, but I guess they were just like, felt that was the best route to go. I mean, it is like more ideal because I have a medical background. Obviously, most of them don't know about osteogenesis imperfecta, and that's why part of why I do these videos is to educate and put it out there more. But anyway, so I get back up the stairs and safely in my wheelchair, and I just thanked her like a million times, and we parted ways, and I left, and as I was saying my goodbyes, like, they're just thanking me, and I was just like, no, like, thank you for not making me feel like a burden that night. And I know that like this was nobody's fault except the restaurant because they should be accessible from the get-go. Like I said, it's 2020. Yeah, I know it kind of ended quick there in the end there, but there's really, that was all that was to it. But the ending was probably the more stressful because nobody was willing to do it. It was like, who was going to do it? And I wasn't. Like I said, I wasn't calling my parents. Like, that was my dad. Like, that was not an option. And like I said, he's not very steady on the stairs, so that would have not been in my best interest either. Yeah. That is something that I experienced. And mind you, this was only a few weeks ago, a couple days before Christmas. And so I just wanted to put this out here, not to bash the restaurant. I hope that maybe someday they become more wheelchair accessible. I'm not saying to boycott them. I'll eat at the restaurant again, but because it is wheelchair accessible. That's the whole like main part of the restaurant is like completely accessible. It's just an area that is not. Like I said, all parties involved learned a lot that night, and my life is full of learning experiences for a lot of people, and I think people learn a lot from when they realize what I deal with day to day and what it takes, and the glimpse into what it takes to get up in the morning and do what I do every day. Constant creative thinking, it's just, you do what you have to do. I am a part of the team. I put as many hours in as everybody else, and I wanted to be there, but I have never went to the most extreme measures like that. Most of the time, I would probably just leave, but because they were willing to do it, and because I felt comfortable with this group of people, I went for it, and I did it, and I'm so glad I did. Because not only did it leave me with a lasting memory of something that makes me laugh and smile every single time, but it's just taught them a lot too. And I'm always for educating about disability, not necessarily in those extreme measures. The society that we live in this world is not built for people like me, and so I'm constantly having to live in a world that's unfit for me. I do miss out on a lot of opportunities, but on opportunities that I can make work, I do, and I go that extra step because I don't want to miss out on as many experiences, and I already do have to miss out on so much because, like I said, if it was a whole flight of stairs, or if I did have a fracture that, like, I haven't fractured in like 4 or 5 years, but if I did have a fracture, like, I would not want to be carried down the stairs by strangers. I would want to stay put in my wheelchair if I did have a fracture, but I'm also to that point in my life where I am stronger and I can do these things now. So it depends on the situation in whatever ways that I'm able to make work. But I always make someone carry me down the stairs at a restaurant. No, most restaurants are accessible, but many of them aren't. But it depends on how I'm feeling that day. It depends on the situation. Like I said, if it was a whole flight of stairs, it was, you know, there's just, if it was even more inaccessible, then no, I wouldn't. I would either have to leave, or like we would have to go to a different restaurant or something. Like, there's just so many different ways that this could have planned out, but in the instance I went to the most extreme measures because I knew we could make it work, but I was willing to do it too. I'm in awe of how they just didn't care. Like, I mean, they cared, like, they felt bad, but I mean, like, they didn't care that it took a lot. It wasn't, they took me in as one of their own. Working there, I do feel so appreciated, but that experience made me feel even more that I'm loved by them and cared for by them, and it's just really great to work with a group of people like that. Story time of my experience at G's Pizza is, even though you guys weren't there, or whoever's watching isn't there, maybe some of you eating at that restaurant that night were there or will see this video. I have no idea. And to those watching that were there that night, maybe, hopefully this gives you a better idea of what happened, because probably watching it, you were like, what is going on? So that's what happened that night. That's just a glimpse of what I deal with. But I wanted to share this video to showcase that it's 2020 and there's so much of the world that I can't participate in because people don't think about disability. They don't think about what people are missing out on. A lot of people don't realize that people with disabilities are living, breathing members of the community and society. Even with a law in place, there's still many, many flaws. Let me know if you guys learned anything from this video. Hope that other businesses will see this video and take a look at their place and be like, how can we make this more accessible for people with disabilities? And for those that utilize a wheelchair, it does not take much to make a place accessible. I hope this video wasn't boring. It's hard because you weren't there, but like, I'm picturing it in my mind, so like, definitely it was not boring for me. But I'm just grateful for the coworkers that I work with, and they're just awesome, awesome people, and I'm so grateful for them, and I'm grateful how they handled the situation. And I hope that whoever I encounter in my life in these situations act in the same way. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in my next video. I don't know what to say, but I just really wanted to put this out there also, so I never forget, even though I never will. But again, just to be a learning experience. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. And remember, there is never a dull moment. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.